The world is full of traps around every corner, ready to undermine your virility. There is a very famous story about a lion and a farmer I want you to hear. Once upon a time, there lived a ferocious lion whom everyone was afraid of. One day, a lion fell in love with a farmer's daughter, but there was one problem. The farmer hated and feared the lion. Having learned about the lion's love for his daughter, the farmer decided to do everything to prevent the marriage. When the lion came to persuade, the farmer said to him, "I am ready to give my daughter in marriage to you, but I am afraid of your teeth and claws. If you cut them off, my daughter will marry you immediately." The lion agreed and returned to cut off his fangs and claws. But in this way, the farmer is no longer afraid of the lion. When the lion returns, the farmer drives him away with a stick. The lion no longer had claws or sharp teeth to protect itself and achieve what it wanted. Remember, the world you live in today is no different. There are much greater forces at play that have carefully designed the matrix to keep it a slave to your desires and impulses. And here's the brutal truth. You can blame the farmer or the elite all you want, but ultimately, it was Leo who chose to willingly obey them. Strength is a virtue that all men should follow, be it in their professional, financial, or personal lives. Every person naturally has a desire to feel dominant, strong, and powerful, because that's who you are. All people want a strong sense of momentum. Many of us don't have this because we do things that prevent us from becoming strong men. These days, men complain about everything, spend a lot of money on drugs and porn, and even apologize to others for things that don't require justification, and the habits that make men weak. Number 1, making fun of others. You should never look down on others. You may have heard the example of a bucket of crabs. When the crab is about to escape from the bucket, others pull it back. If you find yourself mocking others, remember, you are inferior to them. Of course, this doesn't mean you shouldn't correct someone's mistakes, but don't laugh at it. As a human being, you must teach and guide your brothers without resentment or ulterior motives. Remember, strong, confident people do not put others down. In social networks, it is now very easy to insult and humiliate a person with impunity, but a strong and worthy person will not do that. Number 2, failure to acknowledge responsibility. Coming back to the story of the lion and the farmer's daughter, the biggest reason why the lion loses everything in the end comes down to the fact that he does not realize his responsibility. His duty was to live like a lion. His fangs and sharp claws were part of what made him a lion, but he forgot about this responsibility and decided to abandon it. The same thing happens in your life. Take on your responsibilities with pride. I want you to tell me, I will carry out my duties with pride because they make me a man. The day you decide to walk away from your responsibilities is the day you decide to give up your masculinity completely. The price of greatness is responsibility. Listen again. The price of greatness is responsibility. Number 3, avoid failure. This is a challenge for many men today. Most men always choose comfort over height. Remember that growth is painful and often hidden behind failure. There is a famous example of a man who goes to dig for diamonds. He doesn't know how deep below the surface the diamond is, but he keeps digging. At first, he only sees more dirt every time he digs, but he continues to dig. After a few hours or even days, he finds what he is looking for. So remember, failure is not the end. If this is your way of thinking, you can be sure that you will never succeed at anything worthwhile. Think about something worthwhile. Let's say you're starting a business. In the beginning, you may encounter a lot of failures as you try to learn the business and win over your clients. But when you stay in the game long enough and don't try to run away from these temporary setbacks, you see yourself growing. The same thing happens with women. First, When you approach them, you may seem like a strange person who doesn't know how to interact, but your success lies behind these temporary setbacks. This is a small price a strong man must pay for success. Children are often taught to be ashamed of their mistakes and failures and try to justify them by blaming someone else. You might say it's not my fault or this person's fault. These are the thoughts of a loser. I want you to hear this quote and write it somewhere. This is a weak person who blames his failure on the strength of others. Number 4, submission to useless laws. Do you want to know the difference between a coward and a man of high value? A coward will always side with the majority, even if what they say is clearly wrong. And the worst thing is that a coward expects a valuable person to also obey these useless and evil laws and rules. A person of high dignity always studies and judges everything before deciding to follow. In today's world, we are so accustomed to stereotypes that you shouldn't judge or that you shouldn't do this or that. You are just a puppet and a lab rat who obeys all their plans and laws. There is nothing wrong with submission, but obey only what is consistent with your purpose, your mission, and above all, besides God, there is nothing higher than the law of the Almighty. Ask yourself, are you someone who is easily intimidated and tries to please everyone? For some people, it can be incredibly difficult to learn to say no, but if you act correctly the first time, you will find that nothing will happen. I have seen so many men who live in fear in their marriages. Their wives were a kind of tyrant, and they dare not speak or correct them. This is a clear example of feudal subordination. Number 5, your body language is weak. The concept of body language is very important. This includes non-verbal cues, such as your handshake, eye contact, the way you sit, walk, and move when you speak and relate to others. People can tell that you are a strong person by your body language. Be sure to maintain a masculine posture. Remember that your body language is the first and easiest way to prevent someone from taking advantage of you. Number 6, we discuss the importance of your younger days on this channel. His early 20s and even 30s, to some extent, are what we call his golden days. These are the days when you have to build, and build. Think of a farmer who plants a seed. He does not expect the seed to bear fruit the next day. In your 20s, just as farmers plant seeds, you must plant spiritual, emotional, and physical seeds that will help you grow. But here's the most important part. Don't expect to reap these rewards right away. Just keep planting, and before you know it, you'll be planting forests and gardens that will attract the kind of life you want. This doesn't mean you have to work 24/7, but always keep in mind that these are the days when you have the most energy and the ability to take the biggest risks. Use this to your advantage. Especially when you are young, you may feel like you are missing out on opportunities to invest in yourself. You may not realize it now, but as you get older, you will thank yourself for doing the right things. Number 7, being lazy and unproductive with your time. What time do you go to bed, and what time do you wake up? What is your daily structure? What do you do when you get home from work? These are all questions that you should take seriously. Don't think of them as a side task that you can think about when you have some free time. As a person who wants to strive for success in all areas, you must plan your day carefully. Think about why the powers that be are so successful in constructing the matrix. All aspects and areas are carefully planned. Likewise, think about every part of your day, the types of people you surround yourself with, the type of content you consume. If you don't have the right thoughts, make sure you give the matrix open access to penetrate you. Laziness is the greatest enemy of people today. You may have a lot of thoughts related to business or life, but not take action. If you allow laziness, it will gradually creep into you and prevent you from moving forward with your life productively. Always remember that laziness only stands a chance against the weak. A person of high value quickly learns to detect and correct it. Always be aware of laziness and fight it as soon as possible. Remember that weakness is a virtue in modern society. However, strength is our greatest virtue. Seek strength at every opportunity, and remember that God is our greatest strength. If the video was useful, share it with your friends and like it. This will help the development of the channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next valuable video. See you next time.